Hi, super scientist. We're going to be looking at wetlands today. So if you'll go ahead and get out your lab notebook so you can take a look at that. We're going to be looking at how wetlands impact the environment. You can see a beautiful picture of a wetland here. So keep that in mind as we're looking at the different types of wetlands. So a wetland is going to be an area that is covered with a shallow layer of water during some or all of the year. So for most of the year, they're going to be covered either completely in water or is going to have a lot of water periodically. So the picture that I put here, one thing that you may be familiar with is the Everglades. So the Everglades in Florida, Everglades National Park, is a wetland area. And you can see this is the Everglades area at the tip of Florida. There's a lot of different types of vegetation that you might see. And one thing that you might see is mangrove forest. And mangroves, we're going to talk about a little bit later, different types of mangrove swamps. So this area that's in green is area where you have a lot of mangrove trees. And mangroves have these really thick and gnarly roots where they'll extend down into the soil and into the water. And those roots can be used as sort of a nursery for baby animals that are aquatic, and also the mangrove trees help to stabilize the coastline. So it helps to provide some stabilization for areas that might change due to erosion of the water up against the coastlines. So the Everglades National Park is one thing you may have heard of and may have even been to. So there are a lot of different benefits of wetlands, and you can see a lot of those in the picture here. So wetland areas are going to form where water is trapped. So there's not, in some wetland areas, there's not a lot of drainage or a lot of movement of the water. So the water is just kind of sitting there for the most part. It's pretty stationary. Wetlands are going to help control floods. So that's really important for areas that get a lot of water, a lot of precipitation. And it also provides a habitat for a lot of animals. So it's important to people, but also important to animals by providing that habitat and space for them to live. And wetlands are, again, important to people because they're natural filters, so they help to filter out certain types of pollutants. So you can see here it's raining, the water moves downhill, lots of nice runoff that we see. So the water's going downhill, and then it's going to eventually end up in this wetland-like area. And the soil, a lot of times the wetland's kind of spongy because it's absorbing some of the water, and it can also absorb extra runoff, and that's one way that it helps to control flooding. It's going to support a large diversity of life, so you have plant life, you have animals, lots of insects and things like that as well. So this is one type of a wetland that you may have seen before. If you've ever been to the beach, you may have seen one of these saltwater marshes, or sometimes they're estuaries and you have salt and fresh water kind of mixed together. So this marsh has a lot of grass, a lot of vegetation, and it also has a lot of water in it too. So they're going to be low-lying in the coastal plain, which we've talked about in social studies, where you have the mountains and then you have the Piedmont Plateau, and then it gets a little bit lower as you get towards the coast and the coastal plain in North Carolina. So the transition area that you have here is a marsh, and it's transitional because you go from having the land on one side to the ocean, and in between that you have these kind of spots of marsh where it's grass and water sort of mixed together. You have a wide variety of wildlife that can live in here, and sometimes they even have areas like this vegetation area where it's so sturdy that cars will drive up on it. So you may see people down at the beach that are fishing and have actually driven their car out onto one of these marsh areas because there's so much land at certain areas. Now, I don't suggest driving your car out on there, but some people do if it's somewhere that they're familiar with that has a large area that has land and is really stable. But you also see a lot of nutrients in these areas too, and sometimes it smells like hydrogen sulfide. It's kind of a rotten egg smell, and that's just because of all that nutrients that's going to get trapped in those areas. Swamp is the next one. So one thing that you immediately see is you've got lots of trees. So you've got lots of trees and lots of leaves that have fallen into the water as well. So that is going to provide a sort of an extra layer of vegetation and decomposition. So you've got decomposing leaves and vegetation that are around the trees or leaves that have fallen from the trees. Now, the swamp is going to have, of course, more trees than a marsh and better drainage than a bog. And the bog is the next one that we're going to talk about. So the reason why I said better drainage is because the water does have a little bit of movement. It's not completely stagnant. And then the last type of wetland is going to be a bog. So a bog is maybe one that you're not really familiar with. It has very spongy ground. It has a lot of moisture that's trapped in it. Sometimes you have these large pockets of moisture, but you can see immediately that it's got a lot of grassy areas, whereas the swamp and the marsh did not have a lot of the patches of grass. It wasn't consistently grassy. It's got poor drainage, but that's good for certain types of crops like cranberries. Cranberries are going to grow in bogs as well. So it's unfit for most cultivation of agricultural products and crops, except for a select few like cranberries. There are some certain threats to wetlands. Wetlands are very fragile. If they have certain types of chemicals and pollutants added to them, then that can harm the habitat. It can harm that particular ecosystem or the animals that live there. And a lot of human activity will as well. So chemicals from farming, if you've got a lot of fertilizer, so farming, agriculture, if you've got a lot of fertilizer that's added to it, then you may have eutrophication begin. So that's why farming can be an impact, and also pollutants like insecticides. Then development, so developers filling in wetlands to use for homes. And although I love Disney World is actually an area where there were some wetland places, and that was filled in with sediment in order to create Disney World. So unfortunately that does happen in a lot of places, especially down the coast. And new organisms are going to compete for space and food. So if you have areas that are being filled in for development, or you have logging that's taking place, those organisms are going to lose their habitat and they're going to have to go somewhere. So there ends up being an increase in competition because of that. And then levees and canals can cause flooding or drying up. So if you have areas where there's a wetland and you maybe build a levee, which is basically like big sandbags kind of to prevent flooding in certain areas, like when you had Hurricane Katrina several years ago, you may have heard of the levees failing, and that caused a lot of flooding in residential areas. So that could cause, if you've got a dam, for example, that could cause this area to have a lot of water and then this area to not get water. So that could harm those particular habitats. And wetlands are really important habitats, not only important to people for absorbing extra runoff and helping to control flooding, but also being natural filters. And it's also really important to provide habitats for organisms, food, of course, fresh water, and shelter too. And you can see in this picture, I thought this was really interesting because you've got several alligators in this picture, and they're kind of submerged in the water, so they're sort of hiding, but this is their habitat. It's really important to them, and not only to the alligators specifically, but alligators will impact the habitat as well. Just using alligators as an example, the alligators kind of burrow into like the side of a river or side of like the sediment where you have some type of wetland, and they form what's called gator holes. And when the alligator leaves that spot, then you have turtles and fish and other animals that can use the gator hole as their habitat too, and some extra protection. And wetlands are important to people because of naturally filtering out pollutants that unfortunately people are kind of careless with some of their actions sometimes. So they will help to absorb those things, and the sediment and all the nutrients in the plant roots in wetlands will help to be filtering agents, and then also absorbing extra runoff and helping to control floods because they have all this vegetation and soil that acts like a sponge, so it soaks up all of that extra runoff. So you should have learned a great bit of information about wetlands. Thanks, guys.